what's up, and welcome to another episode of the Goodcast Show. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am so happy to announce that history has been made on the podcast, as today I welcome my first member of the Madani government. I can't wait for this. This is going to be fun. So my guest today, he started his career off as a lecturer, to a journalist, to a press secretary for multiple ministers in multiple portfolios, to an individual who has become synonymous with effective communications and shaping public opinion and driving societal progress. His extensive experience from academia to high-impact governmental roles is made possible only by his commitment and consistent delivery of excellence throughout his illustrious and distinguished career. Today, he sits as a director of Corporate Media and Communications Division, and he continues to be a guiding force in shaping the narrative of Malaysia's journey towards a brighter future. It is my pleasure, it is my honor to introduce my guest today, Dato Sivabalan. How are you, Dato?
Fine, Mr. Vinod.
Thank you so much for coming, Dato.
Thank you for inviting me for this show.
Yeah, finally I have a member of Madani, and I hope after this, people watching you, more Madani people come. I always invite them, so please do come. Yeah.
I hope so too.
Yeah. Dato, I have to ask you this because you are the Director of Strategy, and there have been reports of people trying to understand what the Madani message, overall message is, who PMX wants to be perceived as. So in your opinion, in your work, what is the message that you want to permeate for the Madani government? How do you want us to look at the Madani, the entire government and as well as PMX?
Thank you, Mr. Vinod. Well, to start off, Mr. Vinod, and to answer your question, I've actually, let me just introduce a little bit about myself.
Sure,
you did mention that I'm with the Ministry of Communications. I am with the Ministry of Communications, in particular with the Minister of Communications, YB Fahmi Fadzil, and I've been entrusted by the Minister particularly to handle dissemination of information on Madani government for the Indian community in particular. So over the last 2 years, as you know, we have just celebrated our second anniversary of the Madani government, and a lot of perceptions about the Madani government, especially about our Prime Minister. So my focus in the ministry is only one, which is to do a PR work for the government, i.e. To ensure that the public, in this case the Indian community, is aware about what kind of policies, initiatives have been introduced by the Madani government. As you know, many have been informed about these initiatives via various platforms, TV, social media, name it. But unfortunately, Mr. Vinod, not all are aware about what has and is being done by the Madani government for the community at large. But suffice for me to say here that I will only speak on what we have been doing for the Indian community, and how it's not about changing their mindset, about their perception towards the government. No, we are not here. We are not a propagandist. We don't go and tell the people, look here, you have this policy, so support the government. No. The Madani government wants feedback, public feedback. That's also part of our role, part of my role, to get feedback from the public. In this case, again, the Indian community, with regards to the various initiatives. We have done a lot of efforts. We have taken a lot of efforts in disseminating the information of the various government initiatives. We have, let me go back to in the month of August.
August, yes.
This is when, for the first time, Mr. Vinod, the Minister of Communications or the Ministry of Communications has taken a keen interest on a specific community, the Indians. Why the Indians? Because there have been a lot of statements coming out from Indian leaders, be they from the ruling bloc or the opposition bloc, saying that Indians have got less compared to the other races. What are you doing about the Indians and all that? So even the Prime Minister did mention that, I mean, he's got a lot of friends, he's got a lot of colleagues who are Indians, and they come and tell him, the Indians at large, they do not know what's happening. So what we did, the first thing what we did, we did a study, we did a survey. And if I can share the
Please.
study here, we actually got the assistance of these these organizations called All Party Parliamentary Group Malaysia, Sustainable Development Goal, APPGM SDG, headed by Dr. Denison J. Surya. And you'll be surprised, Mr. Vinod, to know that not all Indians, not everyone, not all Malaysians own a smartphone. Just to share some portion of the study done by APPGM, they did a study in 4 localities, 4 parliamentary constituencies, namely Tambun, Ipoh Barat, Kapar, and another one is Klang. Yeah, that's right. They found out that pockets of Indians there do not own smartphones, hence they do not get information about any government initiatives. They don't watch TV. Are we to blame for that? I don't know. And anyone approaches them with any kind of assistance from the government, they immediately think that it's a scam. So what do we do? So because we want them to know that the government is doing so and so. There are so many programs, not just for the Indian community, but assuming there is one initiative for the entire Malaysian population, the Indian community in particular would think that this is not for them. They want something particularly, specifically for them. It doesn't work that way. There are certain programs, initiatives by the Madani government. In fact, previous governments also have implemented the same. But if you ask me, I feel this Madani government has implemented more policies for the Indians. Although some may argue on the budgetary constraints, it's not sufficient. The budgets are not sufficient and all that. So we have come out with, I would say, how to break this so-called deadlock, meaning how do we penetrate those who have not got access to government information, to government initiatives and all that. I've mentioned to you before this show, Mr. Vinod, that we have actually created various media social platforms, which we have also publicized to the Indian community at large. But one thing which I want to share with you is that for the first time ever, what we're going to do, we're going to, there's going to be a test bed at these 4 locations which I mentioned, Tambun, Ipoh Barat, Klang and Kapar. We're going to go down to the ground. We're going to have specific gatherings for them, for the Indians. We're going to pinpoint where are the areas where the people say they didn't get any kind of support, assistance, information and whatnot. Together with the NGOs, together with the government machinery, we'll move in there. For now, it's only going to be the 4 locations. It's going to start next year, February, because we have to wait for the allocations to come in. So we'll start somewhere in February next year. We'll go one location after another. So we'll start off probably with Tambun, because that's the Prime Minister's constituency, and that's where we see that we need to go in and explain to them, to the Indians who have failed to get information on the Madani initiatives, together along with the NGOs, with the government machinery and all that, with the hope that once we explain to them, they will understand, oh, okay, we now know that so many initiatives are there for us. So once this we are hoping this will become successful. Once it becomes successful, probably we'll do it at every parliamentary constituency or even every state constituency, Dewan Undangan Negeri. So that's a little bit I can tell you about what we have planned out. In particular, I know, Mr. Vinod, you're talking in general about the whole Malaysian here, and you may expect me to speak only about the entire Malaysian population, but I'm here as someone who speaks for the Indian community, being a government appointee, a government servant. My role will be to talk and to focus on the development of the Indian community, Mr. Vinod.
And I mean, yes, I agree, Dato', but I just want to understand. I think you were talking about the Indian Community Action Plan Task Force, right? That was the task force you were talking about. But why the need for this task force now?
Like I mentioned to you earlier, Mr. Vinod, year in, year out, we hear grouses by sections of communities, not just from the Indians. Yes, this task force, we have also formed this task force under the Ministry of Communications. It's called the Action Plan for Indian Community. Again, this is a noble effort by the Minister himself. This committee, this task force is made up of the various government-run medias, i.e. RTM, BERNAMA TV, JABATAN PENERANGAN, FINAS, and so on and so forth. Basically, you cannot say or you cannot think, they formed this task force because the entities I've just mentioned to you, RTM, have not been doing their job. No. All this while, they've been covering events relating to Indian communities and all that. But this time around, apart from doing that, we also want to focus, want to be specific. Example, you may not be aware about program Sejati Madani. This one program introduced by the Madani government. Even I didn't know about it. Being in the government, I didn't know much about it. But when I was appointed to this post, then only I start doing research about the various initiatives specifically. So this program, Sejati Madani, is the first ever introduced by a government in Malaysia. Is not tailored for one individual, no. Funds are given up to 100,000 ringgit for a group of residents. Okay, let's take for example, you have a residents association, ABC Resident Association. They will apply for this program, Sejati Madani, where they give allocation starting from 10,000 to 100,000. Now, what this resident association can do is that they can apply, they can say, we want to do farming. We want to open up a syarikat kitar semula, recycling. Not one person is going to benefit that. The whole entire residents association will benefit out of that. When you make profit, that profit is taken and probably that resident association will buy some sort of an insurance for the residents there. So the money goes there and the insurance gets protected by the residents gets protected by the insurance. This is one thing the Indian community were not aware.
Yes, you were not
exactly.
aware.
But we found out that to date, since it was implemented, I think about a year ago, 2 years, it's been implemented the last 2 years. We've got quite a number of Indian residential groups who have applied and who have been successful. So now what we are doing is, because every time, Mr. Vinod, we have been hearing this word, I didn't get anything, what the government is doing for the Indians, we are left out, we are getting breadcrumbs and all that. Well, I can understand, we can understand that. Why? Because simply some do not get the information that they're supposed to get. So now we have gone into what we call as promoting success stories from these programs like Sejati Madani. We have identified recipients and we're going to interview them and then put it out to all the people to hear it. But Mr. Vinod, this has been going on for some time, even before Madani government as well. promoting about government initiatives and all that. But this time, this Madani government is rather specific for Indian community, as I mentioned earlier. The question now is being asked, once we've into this survey and all that, we've realized it has shifted. The thinking has shifted now, or rather the feedback what we get is different now. Now they're saying, oh sir, we know that there is this initiative. For instance, there is this grant given by ABC, won't mention any names here. We apply, we submit everything, and then when we go there, they call us for an interview. They said, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that, and we are rejected. How do we answer this? How do we comprehend this? This is one issue that we feel we cannot. I mean, how can we at the Ministry of Communications go and ask ABC, look here, what happened? This guy applied and you said that he doesn't fulfill all the criteria. Just for one criteria, you rejected him. So what we are suggesting here, Mr. Vinod, in your previous talk shows, you have a lot of guests talking about what needs to be done for the Indian community. And let me just add another thing here, Mr. Vinod. Everyone knows, and please don't be surprised if I mention the word MITRA again, because everyone knows your viewers, Indian viewers, 80% would know MITRA. I say 80% because in the 4 localities, Tambun, Ipoh Barat and all that, many do not even know what is MITRA. Shocking, right? Because MITRA is the organization for the Indian community, and some section of the community are saying they don't even know what is MITRA. So here comes our proposal, or my proposal, for possible implementation by the MITRA management. MITRA now, everyone says, I think let's not talk about why they only got 100 million. Why not 300 million and all that?
Yes,
that's history.
Thank you. I'm done with that.
Yes. But just to share with you, Mr. Vinod, Prime Minister has taken note, the Prime Minister's office has taken note. The budget, though it's going to be approved, but midterm or next year, they can also add allocations. There's avenue for that. Many people don't know that once it's approved, that's it. For the next 1 year, there's not going to be any extra allocation. But I'm not saying that the 100 million is going to be increased. But there is avenue. So let the Prime Minister and the government deal with this. My proposal for MITRA is this. Though you have 100 million ringgit to handle, looking at the size of it, it's not much. Okay, your population is... The people seeking help from MITRA is too many. MITRA can also act as a monitoring agency. All right, I proposed this in 1 or 2 group WhatsApp where members are also from MITRA management. Monitoring agency meaning you're not just there to give out the 100 million. But you're also a monitoring agency to make sure that when so-and-so applies to ABC for a grant, that means not MITRA, but ABC, Jabatan ABC, or agency ABC under the government, you keep tab of how many Indians are applying. Because you will have to have a link with that particular organizations. Indians... They know where they have to go to seek redress or assistance. Jabatan Kebajikan Masyarakat, Tekun Nasional, Amanah Ikhtiar, SME Bank. You can just identify. These are the few things that MITRA probably need to have access to them and monitor. So then you can handle the issue where Indians say, I've applied, but I didn't get. Every time I apply, they reject me. Why? Is it because I'm an Indian? Let me be open about this. I'm sure it's not because of that, because they have a strict SOP to follow and they have to audit. So when any auditing is done, and you don't follow that, then the guy who approved it, or the agency or the department that approves it, will be in trouble. Having said that, Mr. Vinod, MITRA now is short-handed, I admit. So if you're going to add this burden to us, of being a monitoring agency, it won't work. Okay, fine, I understand that, but probably you could request for more additional temporary staffs under any schemes, get more people to come in and do this work, because it's very important to keep tab, to monitor where how many Indians have applied, where and when and all that. Right now we don't know.
But Dato, I just want to get your opinion on this because, of course, as you say, my previous guests and all that, we oftentimes we talk about what is not being done. So I think with you here, I want to grab this opportunity to understand what are some of the initiatives that are planned or are in the works or are already implemented for the Indian community in Malaysia, besides what you have already mentioned.
You're talking about what government initiatives?
Yes, government initiatives.
Basically, Mr. Vinod, I think your previous guest, and it's out in the open. What are the initiatives? It's a fallacy to think that. One thing I want to explain, Mr. Vinod, here, and to the audience as well. I think they know what I'm going to say. You talk about 130 million only for the Indians, and then and that's it. But here, what we are trying to tell you, and what the Prime Minister has been saying, what the Ministry of Finance has been saying, is that the 130 million is to complement what other agencies are doing. For example, like I know in this group, WhatsApp group under MITRA, there are a lot of NGO leaders who come out and say when we apply for grants, we don't get. Hence, we have to depend on MITRA. How much will you get from MITRA, from that 100 million? So this is why, coming back to the monitoring mechanism by MITRA, no matter, you can't expect other initiatives other than MITRA, other than the 30 million for under SPUMI Tekun, you want to expect the government to create other initiatives just for the Indians. No, there's no such thing as this initiative for the Orang Asli, this initiative for the elderlies, this one for the Indians, this one for the Chinese. No, I think you know very well, Mr. Vinod, that whatever that's been announced in the budget is for everyone. Okay, having said that, everyone, even you can apply for whatever loan grants under Jabatan Kebajikan and all that, fine. But you will still hear voices from among the community, from among the Indian community saying that I didn't get anything, my application was rejected. Fine, I understand. Let's be fair to them, all right? Why we have to be fair to them? Because what they say may be true. It could be that so-and-so goes to ABC department and applies. He's got everything there, all the documents are there. In Malay, they call it Semua Lengkap. But got rejected. Why? There must be a reason. You're not given a reason, They said the response will be permohonan anda gagal atau tidak diluluskan. With no reasons. So a frustrated so-and-so will of course voice out his opinion that I applied but I didn't get. So I'm hoping there's some kind of monitoring agency either through MITRA or within the agency ABC, in this case ABC department or agency ABC, within themselves they'll be able to come out and tell the recipient or the applicants what's the reason that your application was rejected, so that they know and they can rectify where they went wrong. Mr. Vinod.
Why, Dato, in your opinion, do you think that MITRA has not been able to... You see, MITRA's mandate, one of it is to be a transformative agency. Why has it found it so difficult to do that when other agencies like MDAC, like MOSTI and all that are doing it so well, whereas they still struggle to achieve this basic requirement?
MITRA has got a good set of workforce. The DG himself is a government officer. Now you have a chairman, a member of parliament. Probably, if you ask me, they're short-handed. Previously, when they were formed, they were called as SEDIC. Yes. Then they eventually became MITRA. There were DG posts, then there were deputy DG's posts, and they had quite a number of staffs. But over the years, because of budgetary constraints, the workforce was reduced. Hence, you don't have sufficient manpower. But that people are saying that's not an excuse. Even now, people are offering, NGO leaders are offering, I'll come over and do voluntary service for Mitra. Just tell me what to do. Mitra should welcome this, should come out with a plan. To answer your question, Mr. Vinod, once you have a plan in place, the number one is the workforce. You are bogged down by so many red tapes and all that. Probably the budget, the money has not come in yet, so you are unable to do anything. One person says, should Mitra plan first and ask the money, or get the money and then make the plans? All right?
Should be planned first, right? Because I think MDEC also does it like that.
Exactly.
They have a plan, they do it.
But in Mitra's case, a lot are saying you get only, I don't know, India, mine, it's peanuts, but 100 million is a lot of money.
It is.
So when you get 100 million, plan out for that 100 million. Like YB Prabha, the chairman, has mentioned last year 95 million has been dispersed. Fine, this is good. A lot of people asking, including you, Mr. Vinod, you have asked, I think you're getting tired of it. But Mitra is not to be blamed. Why has there been no transparency as far as Mitra is concerned? Mitra is under the Prime Minister's Department. Do you really honestly believe that there's no transparency there? I don't think so. Mitra is bound by certain procedures. They have to report their accounting and everything to the Prime Minister's Department or even to the Kementerian Ekonomi. We are not sure where actually they are now, either under the Prime Minister's Department or the Ministry of Economy. So they still are answerable to these people. So the question of whether being transparent or not, probably in the eyes of the people, because they don't know, there's no, probably they never got hold of an audited account, an audited report and all that. Probably that's the assumption that in their mind. But over on Mitra's side, I'm not defending or talking on behalf of Mitra, but I know, being a government servant, government officer, that there's already a process there and you just need to follow this. But I may ask Mitra, probably you may have to let this be known to the public that, okay, the application for new grants was set on this date, it was postponed, why and all that. They did it well. They had a press release and all that. So over from October 15 till now, probably a lot of applicants are wondering what's happening. When are you going to announce the new date for the application and all that? So these are the issues that we need to sit down and really thrash out, so that perception is very important, Mr. Vinod.
Definitely,
I'm sure,
perception is very important.
Yeah, the first impression that you get. For wrong reasons, Mitra has been dogged by so many issues, court case, police reports and all that. Some have actually lost interest in Mitra, but take it from me, Mr. Vinod, never in the history of Malaysia has there been a specific department for the Indians. The more the public criticize, the more the politicians criticize about Mitra. I mean, I don't blame them. They can criticize so that there will be some kind of improvements being done. But the more criticism, this through experience, there will come a time when they will no longer be a Mitra. And what do you do? All right? Because Mitra's responsibilities could be taken over by somebody else, someone else, some other agencies. So we have to, whether you like it or not, we have to support Mitra. But at the same time, like now the NGOs are supporting Mitra. They are offering themselves to be volunteers. Don't pay us. Probably you just give us a grant to my NGO. My NGO will then in return be your affiliate. Quid pro quo. So you help me out, I'll help you out.
Sounds a bit dangerous, I thought.
Why do you say that, Mr. Vinod?
No, I honestly, I mean, I'm just kidding, but in my previous interview, I actually gave the suggestion that perhaps MITRA is overburdened as it is because everybody points fingers to MITRA for everything. If an Indian had a flu somewhere, it's MITRA's fault. That's the way we look at it.
Yes.
Like recently, of course, they were blaming MITRA for educational issues. And I brought it up. I said, this is an MOE problem. It's not a MITRA problem. You can't always put everything under MITRA. Should we have more agencies to handle the Indian community? Do you think that just using MITRA is just like, for example, if you look at the Malays, you have MARA, you have various other agencies, you have JAKIM that goes to the religious side, you have MARA and all that. But for Indians, it's only MITRA. Should we have more?
I don't quite agree, Mr. Vinod. I must say this because for the Malay Bumiputra community, they are the largest population. They make up something like 70% of the population. So they need various agencies, various mechanisms to look after their interests. I'm not saying that just Indians is merely about, 2%?
Around 6 million, 6.6 million.
Yeah. So let's start off with MITRA first. Let's make sure that MITRA delivers what it's supposed to do. You have too many. And the other thing is you cannot expect other government agencies to go along racial lines. That means they have a unit especially for the Indians. No. Like what I mentioned earlier, other departments like the Kon, Amana, Ikhtiar and all that, they can do a fast check, meaning to say they can monitor who are the applicants, Bumiputra, non-Bumiputra, Indians, Chinese and all that. Probably a report could be submitted to our politicians so that they are well aware, and then the rest is up to them to go and reveal it to their constituents, to the Indians at large, that this is what's happening actually. So no, I won't say that we require, but having said that, probably what is needed now is how to enhance the equity participation of the Indians. Yeah. This is very important. MITRA is more towards NGOs, assisting NGOs and all that. We need some kind of a scheme. We, meaning the Indian community, of course, and I'm an Indian, so I say we, although I work for the government. So to answer your question, yes, maybe for the equity participation, the government, probably the Ministry of Economy, will have to rethink whether there is a possibility of we have Ethirmanasigham national whatnot and all that. So if the government were to start this initiative to enhance equity participation, I think from those days it's been like 1% or 1.5 equity, yeah, something like that.
Yes.
So this has to be enhanced. I mean, there were previously some parties started some kind of equity participation, getting funds, and then there were a lot of problems there, and then people start saying, I put my money, I did this, I sold my jewelries and all that. So what happened? So to avoid all that, probably the government. This one, if you ask me personally, yes, we need such a scheme, and hopefully this government may feel that there's some consideration needs to be put in. But overall, I feel I place my bets on MITRA.
Speaking of MITRA, its previous form was SEDIC, and under Professor N.S. Rajendran. One of the things that SEDIC did very well that I till today think it's fantastic was the Malaysian-Indian blueprint. That was a fantastic blueprint. Will that blueprint ever be brought back? Because it studied the community, it provided solutions. Will that ever be used again? Or in your opinion, should it be used again to basically solve the problems that the Indian community is facing?
You see, Mr. Vinod, yeah, we all were part of that blueprint during the previous government, 2017, I think. There were two blueprints, one for an overall socio-economic development of the Indians, the other one is on Tamil schools. What's happening now, Mr. Vinod, is this. In previous governments, you had the Barisan National Government. and you had UMNO, MCA, MIC, who handles all the respective communities along racial lines. The present government, Madani government, initially it was known or still known as Kementerian Kerajaan Perpaduan, unity government. But unity government came from the fact that Pakatan Harapan and Barisan Nasional joined forces, hence it was called a unity government by our former king. So, present Madani government feels that, even the Prime Minister has mentioned it many times, openly or within his colleagues, that he works differently. For him, he sees everyone as a single race. That means any kind of assistance, it should not just be for one race, it should be all. Now, people think politicians will say that, PM will say that, but what's happening on the ground is totally different, which is why even you have suggested that there should be more avenues, more agencies for the Indians. Again, I bring back the issue of monitoring mechanisms. That's all to it. Monitoring mechanism. Who's going to monitor what the Indians are applying for and whether they're getting or not? That's all. Why have they been rejected? Because everything announced in the budget, every grant, every assistance, everything is for all Malaysians. And why do you keep on saying that there should be separate initiatives, separate allocations for the Indians? What you have now, like I mentioned, the 130 million is to complement what the overall allocations in the budget. But we have been like, we have achieved independence like for 10 years, right? Mentality. One thing is, it's very difficult to get this out of your mind, that all this while we worked on racial lines. Oh, okay. Chinese, the Indians think Chinese are well off. They know how to, on their own. So left the Indians and the Orang Asli. The Orang Asli has been given too much money. They're being handled, although they are less than the Indian community. So we are the one at the losing end. Who? The Indians. This is very difficult to change. This perception within us will take time, which is what Madani government Prime Minister is trying to do. People are listening to it now say this is trying to jack the Prime Minister. No, I've been in the government service for 34 years, Mr. Vinod. I've seen everyone. I've even worked for Tun Sami Velu. Some of you all remember. He was the MIC president. I know how the system was done before. So the Indians keep coming to the Indian leaders and say, come on, help us out, help us out. Over time, I hope, Mr. Vinod, maybe not during my time, maybe your time, that this thing may change, and we're slowly looking at where every Malaysian, irrespective of their race, they are taken care of and they get what they deserve. I mean, basically, that's all that I can say.
Okay, but Dato, there is one thing that I mean, when you talk about these initiatives that you first started talking about, which is going down to the ground to these 4 locations and speaking to Indian people, do you think that, and again, as you brought it up, you've been in the government service for a long time, right? Worked under, all sorts of ministers. Do you think that in today's political climate, that you are sort of required or have to do this because the voices of the opposition now has become stronger, that they are sort of dictating the perceptions of the Indian community towards the government? Because I do agree with you, in my experience, in my career, there are many avenues, there are many grants, initiatives that are actually out there. Even when I remember I went for a conference organized by the KL Indian Business Commerce, Chambers of Commerce, sorry. And there's so many out there. My goodness, I was shocked. But people don't know. But what we do here are the opposition leaders who are consistently saying the government's not doing it well, the government's not doing enough, government's not doing enough. So just one thing on that note, before I get to your answer on that question, one key thing that has happened is that the 100 million that you mentioned, people have been saying on the opposition side to increase that number, 500 million. Recently, YB Fahmi has released a statement saying 2.4 billion, but he's been saying that for a long time actually. What is the right number for the Indian community?
Mr. Vinod, I'm glad you asked this question because I too want to have my say in this. But what I say doesn't reflect the government's view, although I speak for the government. Like what the Prime Minister has been saying and what some ministers has been saying, Indians they are not only confined to this 100 million. No matter how much you increase, you can also apply for whatever other kind of initiatives, assistance that is being provided for. But if you look at MITRA asking for higher allocation, YB Prabhakaran in Parliament mentioned, or even before the budget was announced, he requested for something like 300 million. Then you have somebody on the other side saying it should be 500 million. The numbers keep changing by the day.
Yes, lower numbers.
So it's like this, Mr. Vinod. You have to understand the scenario, the actual situation. There are a lot of NGOs now, Indian NGOs, and all these NGOs are working hard. Without the NGOs, the government is unable to reach out to the population. Okay, let's talk about the Indian population. NGOs depend on funds and how much can the government give. There is a quota, meaning there is a budgetary constraint. For this NGO, they don't go on racial lines. For this NGO handling orang tua, this much, kanak-kanak, this much, and that's it. Once it's depleted or the funds are out, these NGOs, those who applied but didn't get, how are they to operate? Then there comes in MITRA. So a lot of these NGOs depend on MITRA for those funds. I've learned one thing, that these funds from MITRA are given not to individuals. Previously, yes, some individuals through using some entity, some government, some company name and all that, they get the money and then they end up, not going for the community. But I've learned a lot of NGOs were not successful in getting government grants or government assistance, like for instance from Jabatan Kebajikan, from so and so. Where do they go? You can't expect them to remain idle. They've set up an NGO. They want to help the people. They didn't set up an NGO for themselves. What's the point? So these NGOs are the eyes, the ears of the government. So, for instance, Ministry of Communications, ministers come out with the noble idea where we have groups called Komuniti Madani. Komuniti Madani in all Dewan Undangan Negris, all the state assemblies, all the state, where each Komuniti Madani made up of various races are allocated something like 10,000 ringgit per year to organize activities and all that. You can call these Komuniti Madanis as NGOs, although they're not registered NGOs, they are part of this Information Department's program. So, yes, funds are needed. NGOs have limited access to funds made available by the various government departments. So if MITRA's allocation probably is enhanced, more NGOs are able to, but that also depends on the budget, on the how much money we have, the government has. You see, of course, another 50 million, will it make a difference? You give another 50 million, another 100 million, yes, of course, it will make a difference. But again, I must come back to what the Prime Minister has been saying over and over again. It's not just MITRA funds. You can also come to so and so to also seek some kind of assistance. But some soul searching has to be done by a lot of people. Whether what we have been saying so far, what we have received so far, have really resolved the issues that's being faced by the Indian community. A lot, you won't believe it, Mr. Vinod, a lot have taken this adage, or this what do you call it? Kita jaga kita. You know, kita jaga kita. Yes. A lot believe in that. They are going towards another particular community, how they work, like they are self-independent and all that. they do on their own, they come out on their own. People like you, Mr. Vinod, you've come out, you've started this on your own without expecting, but you expect some kind of cooperation from certain.
Definitely.
Of course, you have come out on your own with your own initiatives. So the least that in my shoes, what I could do is to support you by coming to your show and giving you the support. So I hope the trend is moving towards that, but the day will come when probably all these remarks, statements that we need more allocation, we need more initiatives, we need more things to be done. I hope it will be done away with, so that we all can get what's deserving for all of us. But of course, you have to fulfill the criteria. A person who doesn't fulfill criteria, go and ask for funds, never gets it, go out and shouts and says, I didn't get anything, I'm not getting anything, we are not getting anything. One person didn't get, but they say we are not getting anything.
Dato, on that point, because again of your experience in PR, extensive experience in PR and all that, one of the things that I've always sort of believed is that in today's political climate, when the opposition, or like you say, these individuals who cry out when they, about we should have more, and then I see images in Parliament or, where you see MPs, non-Indian MPs saying, yes, the Indians need more. Do you think it's painting the right picture of the Indian community as an Indian yourself? Do you think it's doing us justice?
Personally, I don't want to mention anything about what our leaders, our politicians are saying. But if you ask me, that's the right forum in Parliament. They're voicing out what they're supposed to do by their respective constituents. They are a member of Parliament, not just for one race, for many different races. And when the Indians come to you and tell you this thing, you have to voice out this thing. Naturally, that member of Parliament have to go to Parliament and raise the issue. Now, it's a different story. You can raise what you want to raise, but whether it's will be considered, whether it's something that's worth to be considered, then it's up to the government machinery to look at it. So, yes, I agree that is the right of every member of Parliament to voice out whatever as to whether what they say I accept personally or not. I would say yes, if that is what the constituents, because it's not they saying it. It's not the member of Parliament coming out of the blue saying that we want this, we want that. No, they gather feedbacks. Because I know I worked for ministers, I worked for members of Parliament. I know how they work. I know their frustrations at times. Even those from ruling party, members of Parliament from ruling party, do not get everything that they wanted. But perhaps they are voicing it. At least give me the opportunity to voice it. At least my people know that I'm voicing it. Doesn't matter that we are not getting it, but more voices, then we will get more action from the other side. But Mr. Vinod, I being the government, I must tell you this. Whatever that is being brought out by these members of Parliament, the people, the NGOs, doesn't go on deaf ears. No. I've attended so many meetings over the last 34 years. In every meeting, sometimes chaired by the minister, sometimes chaired by the secretaries general or the ministries and all that, a report will be submitted that so-and-so requested for this and all that. Then some sort of action will be taken. But whether that action is a yes or no, most of the time it will be quite difficult because of budget constraints. So, on the other side, Mr. Vinod, ruling bloc, opposition bloc, they will fight to who becomes the champion. I say more, I become the champion. You don't say anything, you are seen as the villain. On this side, the government has to weigh the pros and the cons, look at whether it's feasible. If I do this for the Indians, what will the other communities look at? How will the other communities feel? Many Indians feel that you cannot say like that. You cannot say like that. You know the Indians are at the lowest among all the other communities. So hence you have to support the Indians. But the issue now here is you give more support, more funds for one particular race. Come election, there will be some issues. So I'm talking on what a politician will perceive. A politician who's ruling, who's holding posts in the government. So, end of the day, I'm sure it's a win-win for everyone. That's what everyone wants. Everyone to think that it's a win-win lah. So the fight goes on, I think.
Okay. Dato, just want to get your input, and you mentioned briefly about the Komuniti Madani. So we will be, of course, sharing a link to Komuniti Madani India, Malaysia. Perhaps you want to just give a brief description about what this community is all about.
Thank you, Mr. Vinod. I was hoping you'll do that. When my minister, YB Fahmi Fadzil, entrusted me with this task, there's a group of us working towards this end. We needed a platform, an easy access, a platform that's easily accessed by the people for information. Now there are all these initiatives are in various platforms, in their Facebook, in their respective agencies' Facebook. What we're doing, we're compiling everything. So we started off this WhatsApp channel, and also now we're on Telegram. Soon we'll be moving into Facebook and so on. We gather, we combine, we collect every initiatives that we feel will benefit the Indians in one platform. So we share it. We are hoping that those subscribers will also share it to whoever Indians they know about it. The more people know about such initiative, the better. So the other thing, Mr. Vinod, it's easy at a click of a finger, you get information and all that, but it seems it doesn't work that way. So that's why we are going down to the ground. We're also going to meet the public. People might say, you always do this, nothing, and at the end of the day, nothing happens. Something happens. Although not everything, but something happens.
Yeah. Right? I remember when I interviewed Dato, what's his name? Dato Kamunanathan. The ex-deputy.
Dato P. Kamunanathan.
It was a fantastic conversation. He's a very nice man, in fact. And then I asked him the question. I said, because he was telling all the things he had done during his time. And I said, Dato, why didn't you all share this to the public? But yeah, do you just on that point, and since you are the one who is in charge of disseminating Indian information to the Indians, one of the things that you shared was that your current efforts was through state-run TV, radio, and social media. Do you think that your ministry, Dato, is doing enough to actually engage these platforms to effectively get all the information out? Perhaps that could be the reason why people maybe don't know. Because, for example, state-run TV and radio are basically on the decline, and social media is the only way people get information nowadays. So perhaps things need to be changed in strategy. A good question, Mr. Vinod. More can be done. More should be done. More is being done. We just had a meeting 2 days ago. This task force. We had a meeting 2 days ago where we decided to go to the ground. That's one thing. And then again, I must come back to the survey done by the All Party Parliamentary Group Malaysia in these 4 locations. Not many are even watching news. Even they have got no access. So while we try our best to get all this information relayed to be disseminated, at the same time we also expect. This is one thing, Mr. Vinod, I must share with you. Sometimes I plead with people in groups. Please share this. You have one person can be in multiple groups in his WhatsApp groups. I'm referring to WhatsApp groups. All you need to do is just share it, and then. But sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't, because I also have done a quick survey on this as to how many people share. Even a questionnaire I sent within the group. Out of, you have one group about 700, another about 100. So you got
easily about 800, less than 1,000. I only got 25 response. So you don't give me feedback, and I have to plead with them. So please give me your feedback. Same scenario goes for the government. The government sends out fillers, questionnaires and all that for the public to respond, but no. So, but when you don't respond to that, and then you go out on the open in your social media, and then you say, this thing is happening in the government, why is it not happening? I want to suggest something and all that. No, it doesn't work that way, Mr. Vinod. There is a process, there's a system. If you want to get something across to the government, there is a system. You use that system. Hopefully, I'm not saying some, yes, they give that idea, they propose something, end of the day, hey, where's my idea? What happened to it? Yeah, but overall, at least the government knows these are the views of the majority of the public. So we take action along that lines.
No, that's true. I think there was, in fact, I had shared a few links, Google forms that were made by MOH and all that, asking for respondent surveys and all that. Interesting. And to be fair, Dato, this is the first time what you told today, I actually didn't know, because you said that when somebody raises a point up, there is a meeting that follows at this point. I never knew that. I thought it falls on deaf ears. And I think a lot of people think the same as well. So thank you for clarifying that point. Dato, I'm also from a PR background. So I always appreciate what the community thinks or what the people think. What, in your opinion, has the Indian community gotten wrong about the Madani initiatives for the Indian people, or the Madani's attitude towards Indians?
Yes, Mr. Vinod. There were high expectations among the Indian community when the Madani government took over. A lot of perceptions that a lot of promises were made but were never fulfilled, or were only partially fulfilled. Yes, this is a fact. We have to understand where our Indian, especially our Indian community, is coming from. You have to understand, Mr. Vinod, that day in, day out, every elections, general elections, we face this situation where any parties that wish to form the government, that wish to rule the government, will come out with a manifesto saying we will do this, we will do that and all that. But once they become the government, then they will realize that there are certain constraints, certain budgetary constraints, because they are not at liberty to know what's actually happening in the government, because it's not being shared by the previous administration and all that. So once they come into that mainstream part of it, where they are the ruling party, then they found out that this is a situation. So we cannot. I know there are a lot of nicknames being given to our prime minister and all that, and social media people do that. But I look at it this way: it's some form of something that they are doing it just to get enough followers and all that. But a person who has benefited from the government, all this while we hear from those who have not benefited, who didn't get what they wanted from the government. But go and ask those who have received assistance, have received help from the government. But one thing about them, they remain totally silent. They cannot do that. You must come out, which is why we are going to you now. Remember I said about the success stories? We are going to you now, and you tell the public what has the government done for you.
Yeah, in fact, I agree with you, because I think you must be balanced in your critique of the government. You can't just criticize. You must also champion. In fact, recently, I will be making a video about this. We had a guest on who was a stateless Malaysian. And I think just yesterday she got her PR. So, well done to the Home Ministry as well. So, they did a very good job there. And hopefully more people get their PRs and citizenship. But so these things need to be highlighted. Definitely, I agree with you, Dato. So, Dato, in summary of all this, this definitely, guys, we will be sharing the link. So please join all the channels that we share, because you can be firsthand to view all the efforts that are currently in play. But Dato, in this, what would your message be to the Indian voters, Dato? We are coming closer to GE16 now. What would your message be to them?
Simple, Mr. Vinod. I mean, if I'm at liberty to say it, although I'm not, but I'm a guest here today. I'm speaking as an individual. My take on that will be judge the government through what it has done so far to the Indian community, and for heaven's sake, please. A lot of things are going on the social media. We have to be careful to choose what is right, what is wrong, what is false, what is the truth. But I can tell you this, Mr. Vinod, our team at the Ministry of Communications will continue to address whatever woes, whatever issues that are being brought up by the Indian community. But my only request is, please channel it at the right platform and not through word of mouth or even in a WhatsApp group. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dato, for coming on. It's been such a pleasure, such an honor to have you. And I would love to join the channel as well. I will be sharing in the links and to see what are the initiatives I can benefit from. Yeah, thank you. So that's all we have for you all today, folks. It was an amazing conversation. And again, we'll be sharing the links. So please join in and get yourself educated with all the initiatives that the Madani government is putting forth for the Indian people. As always, please share your comments and we'll love to read them and share these clips. We'll see you again soon. Bye.